Uduasha city, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow. 800 years ago, the gates of death were broken by the Emperor Immortal. The five key bearers, however, had already unlocked them and walked right through. It is in Uduasha city they dwell. Now, the ghost field breathes next to our reality, lit by the eternal flame of the well of Udu. It is a second skin, a place where thought and will struggle against gravity and light. In other places, the dead congregate in the ghost field, but in Uduasha, the well city, the hell city, they fall straight into the flames. See its glittering districts: Kshitijpur, where the rich plot to buy the horizon; Bunda West, where the refugees of two different nations flock; and Pasarhantu, the vertical maze of market and murder. And here is Udepat, where the ceaseless temple resides. Its inhabitants, a family, a snake, and a god. The temple has stood since before the gods of this world were forgotten. Watch as it turns the wheels of revolution. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about people who take risks so they can survive against the odds. Well, hi. Welcome back to Desperate Attune and our current campaign of Blades in the Dark, called A Candle Ablaze, set in the city of Uduasha. I'm Tree, or Soumithri, I'm your GM, and I will be running this game for you today.
My name is Emma. I am playing Joan, a retired ghost fighter, and I use she/her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Klow. In real life, my name is Zoheb, and I'm a he/him. And I'm playing Miras Chakraborty, the crew's leech, who is an engineer turned cult leader.
I'm Prince, he/him. I play Vickers, a roof baller and Miras's wife.
I'm Soap. I play Abbas, the religious scholar, and pain in Miraz's side. And my pronouns are he and him.
Oh, I actually forgot my pronouns, which are all of them. I really don't care. Hi, this is Tree with a quick recap of what happened last episode. The crew converged in the ritual Sanctum Sanctorum of the Ceaseless Temple to meet with His Majesty, the serpent avatar of the Chakraborty. While Miraz intended to meet with the snake on his own, it seemed Vickers had other plans. Miraz and the Eternal One had a conversation about his fitness to be the head priest, while Vickers barged in, demanding to know why Abbas was being admonished. The serpent reminded the crew, and especially Joan and Abbas, that the purpose of the temple was to seek perfection through revolution, in one way or another. The crew decided that the best way to ensure this was to deliver the Skovlander royals, Catherine and Johannes, to one of the leaders of the local Skov community in Uduasha, Freya. Joan's old friend and rival Marion would be able to help them, though of course the two were no longer on good terms. Knowing they needed help, Miraz and Vickers met with Morosim, the representative of a criminal organization called the Hive. Morosim had done the crew a favor and was consequently in trouble with his boss, V. Paihar. As a result, while he assured them that he would help keep the royals safe, in reality, V was going to make a play for the royals herself. Morosim also lent Miraz a sizable sum of money, intending to gouge it out of him at a later date. This episode also contains a very brief description of severe burns.
Should we declare load, by the way?
Yeah! There's the question. Yes, we should.
I'm always heavy because I'm always carrying a big, heavy satchel.
Okay.
Okay, so Abbas wasn't really part of this whole thing going down, right? So how do we bring him into it? And also,
I think it makes sense because we are going to see the revolutionaries and Abbas needs to come along because the snake kind of decreed it, right?
all right.
So
yeah, I don't think it's gonna be too hard. Like, especially, I think he does respect like the Skovlander royalty. They don't want anything to do with it. I think he can respect that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think okay, so Miras is going heavy. I think Vickers is going light because this is supposed to be a diplomatic mission. See.
I think I'm also going light because yeah. I don't know. What would I bring with me anyway?
Yeah. So, like, even though I'm going heavy, I don't think I look scary. It's just a big satchel, you know? There's
Mhm.
not like I'm strapped on my chest like guns and so on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Joan is going light as well. Just like we are priests, we are a cult. We don't. There's nothing here. I think that we should expect. Nothing in our past that we should expect, like to get into a big fight or something, or to have to
Mhm.
like creep in somewhere.
Yep. Indeed.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Do remember that we have cult rigging.
Mhm.
Yep.
You also
What does that do again?
Documents or arcane implements. So basically, we can like wear badges of office or magical
Mm.
talismans and stuff.
And you also have your ability is basically the good stuff, which is to say, someone in every group of people recognizes you.
Yeah, and our temple and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
I think Vickers is going to look somewhat eccentric actually, since she's going to be in like her normal Akarosi street clothes, but then she's also going to be wearing like the talismans and adornments of the high priest's wife, which don't really match. But yeah.
Very good. Okay, Joan. Tell me a little bit about Marion. Where would she ask you to meet her if you contacted her?
That is a good question. I am looking at the map. Udoasha is a landlocked city,
Yes.
right?
Well, yeah, but there's a big river with a.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's like I imagine that the revolutionaries would want to have some sort of like connection to Scotland. And I think in Akaros, in Doskwell, they do it by being in the docks, if I remember correctly. And here they would be at the river.
Yeah, so the riverside dock area, Bundervest, that also is the site of the largest population of Skovlanders. There's a
Mhm.
whole ghetto.
Yeah, so definitely, I think I want to say like my first idea for a meeting spot would be a bar, but maybe it's more interesting if it's like a sauna or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not exactly that.
Yeah, maybe it is like a. Oh,
Desperate because we all have to be naked and there's no items.
yes. No, I think it is a roof ball practice.
Oh, of course.
Ah, excellent.
And I think that the reason that it is at roof ball practice is because Marion can be like, oh, we are just friends. This is a normal meeting. But also, at all times, be in direct view of several very large and very violent people who are definitely like her friends and not yours. So I think in the Bundeswest, there is slowly developing a roof ball kind of like, what I want to use is tradition, but tradition is a weird word to use here. A style of roof ball that is very different to the rest of Uduasha because the Bundeswest is built in a much more ramshackle and temporary way, right? So there's always a risk that as you run across something, you slip or something beneath you gives way and so on, right? And so where Marion has asked you to meet her is a section of the Bundeswest that has been kind of like rigged so that under the roof itself, there is a net so that if you fall, you can be caught. But the roofs are intentionally made unstable, right? And people are running drills back and forth. And Marion she's not like a coach or anything. She's not a player, but she's there as like, moral support or whatever. And you see her standing like next to a balcony, yelling encouragement. What does she look like?
I think this would be someone that is dressed to blend into the crowd and to be able to like leave her current location and like blend into any like nearby crowd at a moment's notice. But she's probably still like fairly recognizable to those who like when she is in a situation like this, she is recognizable as being someone of authority by the way that she stands.
Right. And I think she notices and recognizes you, right? Not the people that you're with. But she also recognizes, have you brought Catherine and Johannes with you, or are you arranging this so that they can be handed over at a later date?
I personally feel that we wouldn't immediately bring them along, if
No.
only because they wouldn't want
Yeah.
to be brought
Yeah.
along.
I know what's happening with them. Morosim said he'd bring them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
So, yes.
Of course. We'll say, in order for us to not just have the hive like fuck off with them and we can't find them, I think what makes sense is Morosim is bringing them and my roof ball team is watching over them.
Very good.
Because they're competent bodyguards. And I did like promise that they would protect the siblings. So I think it makes sense that I have some person watching Morosim, who is probably not going to be able to stop him from fuckery, but can at least warn us if when
think
it happens.
It also makes sense for me to be there, like on that side,
Mhm.
like with them.
Okay.
If we don't mind splitting the party a little bit.
Yeah, sure. In
Okay.
that case, we will get to you in a second.
Yeah.
So, Marion, as soon as she sees you, I think you see her like whistle, and one of the people who is running the drills immediately, like intentionally, basically falls like through, lands on the net, and then like makes their way to her, right? And basically what she's done is that she's summoned like maybe a bodyguard or maybe somebody else, so she's not gonna like meet you alone. And this person she's quite tall, very broad shoulders, and absolutely looks like the kind of person who could, fight 3 people at the same time and really make them regret it. Yeah, and I think as you approach, Marion says, Joan, wasn't expecting to hear from you. There's something you want from me?
Marion? Not really. Not so much something I want from you as, I guess, a common interest.
I think you'll find that I'm not actually interested in betraying the cause, and I'm not sure what else you might think we have in common.
She looks over her shoulder at the others. Maybe I'm not the best one to explain this, since you don't look particularly interested in talking to me.
So Abbas or Vickers?
Yep.
I think Abbas could take it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for him.
I think Abbas step forward. I don't know what's the proper mode of greeting. Just extends his hand, I guess, to as a form of greeting, like I guess versus shaking hands.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
Marion
are you?
Marion looks down at your hand and kind of like just makes a grunt of like disapproval, but she's polite enough to people who are not Joan. So she will kind of like clasp your hand and say, and who would you be?
Abbas Shafialdin Choklaworthy. Pleased to meet you. I've heard of you, Marion, a Skovlander revolutionary. You were asking what else we have in common. Well, maybe not much with Joan, but you and I both share a distaste for Akaros. And maybe on those grounds, we could help someone who's trying to get away from them.
A fellow anti-imperialist, are you? Can't say that I've ever seen you around, but I suppose in Uduasha there must be many of us.
Yes, on a bit of a sabbatical, I suppose you could say, but I'm getting back into it. That aside, we have someone who might be of great interest to you, so long as you can provide them with safe passage.
I think that this is the moment, and any of you can notice this, but it is not necessarily subtle. You realize that you are being watched, and it is not. One of the reasons that like it is not subtle is that in fact, Madion's bodyguard, she turns and looks at the rooftops around you, and this is a very like kind of cramped space, right? So like the roofs are kind of jutting upwards in all directions, and she leans forward and whispers something in Madian's ear, and Madian says, "There's a trap. We've been made." And like you see that like there's a few very well armed thugs kind of like strategically placed and around the area. And this is when we are going to cut to the other hive operation that is currently in motion, which is Miraz and the roofball team. So Miraz, I think that what is currently happening is that Morosim has come to the temple and told you that the best way to make a handoff like this is for you to go with him and then lose any like people who might be following you and so on. And once he's like satisfied that these people have been sufficiently fooled, then he can take them to meet the queen, right? And this has the happy side effect, of course, of taking you into the bowels of some alley where nobody will ever emerge from.
Yeah, because like so we're in Udupat, that's the temple, and we're going to Bandarves. So we'll be passing through Pasar Hantu, which, as Prince detailed, is a mixture of very expensive places and also a hive of scum and
Yes.
villainy.
It also has a location literally called Murder
Indeed.
Alley.
Uh-huh.
So
Correct. Yeah, I think that like maybe where we cut to you is in fact you are somewhere in Pasar Hantu, right? Like you are, and he's like confidently like saying to you, yeah, this left, that right, up that ladder, no, not that door, whatever, right? Like and like 60% of what he's doing is genuinely confounding you, and 40% of what he's doing is actually going somewhere. And as
I mean, I fully trust him because Pasar Hantu is hard to navigate, and he's an underworld
yeah,
type.
exactly. Your roofball team, on the other hand, is like getting a bit antsy because they're not exactly stupid, and they are much more, I think, comfortable in this kind of scenario than you are. So they are beginning to be like, this is a bit shifty. I'm not sure that this is okay, and but they're not like they're very loyal to you. They're very loyal to Vickers, so they're not gonna like say anything yet, right? I think Catherine and Johannes are both a bit like, we're going to go ahead with this because you're the people who we trust. And we don't really have a choice.
Yeah. And I think I'm talking to Morosim like and trying to whisper, because you don't talk about these things out loud, right? And we probably look suspicious as it is. So you managed to make contact with this hidden queen? She's expecting us?
I think Morrison kind of like laughs and says, oh yes, Freya, right? Freya? Something like that. Yeah, no, we actually know her quite well. She does business with us all the time. I will admit that she gave us very specific instructions, which is why, we're going through all this trouble. I suspect in the next 10 or 15 minutes, we should be ready to make a move towards her. And then I think he turns to Catherine and says, so what is your connection to the royal family exactly? As if to be like, just double checking that the merchandise is exactly what we were told it is.
Okay, I'm going to study Morosim at this moment because Morosim is he's supposed to be a professional.
Yeah.
What's this like questions, I thought it was no questions asked.
Indeed.
Well, it was implied. I never
You
specified
never
it, but
Correct, yeah. You never asked whether there would be any questions asked.
Like Morosim, what is this kind of behavior?
Seems risky. Because the risk is that like Morrison might be like, shit, this guy is gonna realize I'm running a con. Risky standard, I think. And I have a devil's bargain for
Risky
you here.
standard.
Which
Yes,
is
please.
that I think that Catherine, whatever happens now, is gonna realize that you are naive and absolutely not the brains of the operation.
You know what? Normally, I would prefer not to take something like that, but I am playing that kind of person,
Yes.
aren't I? Yes, that's fine. It is what it is. Maybe I can redeem myself. Yeah, 6.
Yeah, so
Excellent.
why would like a competent underworld type be asking this kind of question? It is very very, very suspicious, isn't it? And I think, like, as you look at him, you also realize that actually his eyes are constantly, they are not looking at you or the roof ball team or even the Royals. He's constantly looking at at your surroundings, and as you follow his eyes, you realize that, like, sure as he seems about where he's going, and it seems like he's just kind of like walking confidently, so that at some point when he thinks you're sufficiently lost, he's just going to call back up. Right? He doesn't have a destination in mind. He's just relying on Pasarhantu's like incredibly labyrinthine architecture to throw everybody off.
Mm-hmm. So I think at this moment, as he asks this question, right, I kind of raise my hand and say, "Wait, hold on, Morosim. What? Why are you asking asking my guest these questions?" I tried to be. I made it clear that this is supposed to be discreet, and I don't think you know where we're going.
What?
And I think moreover, and he's getting angry
Yeah.
now. I think moreover, you know that we don't know where we're going, and that's part of what you do. Morosim, what is this? I thought we were friends.
But no, of course we're friends. What do you mean I don't know where we're going? Look, I admit, and like he's definitely like on the back foot now. I admit that like I may have gotten a little lost, but I mean everybody gets a little lost in Pasarhantu, right? Like it's not a problem. And like, yeah, see, and like he just points in a direction and he says, yeah, see that red ladder, that's why we've been heading all this time. We just need to go up the ladder and we'll be fine. But he's definitely
No. What we are going to do, Morosim, I've had it. I'm done with this cloak and dagger, skullduggery, clandestine, all this nonsense. We're going to go back. We're going to get on a rickshaw. Well, not our rickshaw. There's too many of it. We're going to get on many rickshaws, right? And we're going to go to where we're supposed to go normally instead of this sneaking around. Okay?
And I think Morosim at this moment swears under his breath. And like, I don't think he draws a gun. I think he draws maybe he draws like a short spear. And he points it at you and he says, "Look, I did you that favor. And I'll be honest, it was basically more trouble than it was worth. But because we're friends, I haven't said anything about it. But now you have to do me a favor." And then he turns to look at the Royals and the Roof Ballers, and he's definitely like outnumbered at the moment. And he says, "Don't do anything rash. Hand them over to me, and everything will be fine. But if you don't do that, I'm not the only one who's going to regret it."
Mm-hmm. How is everyone else reacting to this?
Can I say how the roof ballers are reacting?
Yes, please.
I think this is a very bad idea, but I think my roof ballers are loyal but wild,
Yeah.
and I think that as he points a weapon at them, it goes like, "You will regret." Someone's going to throw the ball in his face.
Yeah, no,
They're carrying a roof ball around.
100%.
And
Yeah. I absolutely like. So the roof ballers are going to do something very unwise because that is the flow. I
Yep.
think the Royals are somewhat like deer in the headlights, right? Like they are in a very new place.
Mhm.
They don't know what is going on. They understand that right now they are fucked, but they can't really trust. They can't trust this guy with the spear. They don't know the roof ballers. Catherine's a bit like Miraz is a moron. So they're just a bit like, shit, I don't know what to do. Right? But I think that you should roll, Prince, I think you should roll for your cohort to see.
Yes, sadly, I am not there to lead them.
Yes.
So
you will roll 0.
I think they're just rolling their 0 quality.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I still think that they throw a ball at him and distract him no matter what.
Oh, yeah, sure. But this is about like how well it goes. I think like this is a desperate position.
1 and 1.
Oh, yeah, I know what happens here. You throw the ball at him. He gets hit on the head. He's not like, I don't think Morosim is necessarily like a violent type. I think his skills lie in different places. But the reason that he was so confident is that just like at the Roof Ball Arena, there were agents stationed here, ready for this to happen, right? Like the hive is like well coordinated. So even as you throw the ball, I bet it's Socks actually who throws the ball at Morosim, and Morosim kind of like reels back. You see someone in like one of the I don't think it's a roof. I think like they're hiding in one of those like canvas like tent like coverings. They quickly pop their head out and they fire at Miraz. I think they recognize that. I think Miraz appears to be like in charge. Yeah, I mean, I think with a 1, Miraz, you can tell me. Do you think you're gonna get hit, or do you think you're gonna dodge and let the royals get hit?
No, I think I prefer being shot.
Okay. An incredible sentence.
Which I might resist, of course, depending on how bad it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like they are far enough away that this is probably only level 1 harm. And like this is not like a very. I get the feeling that firearms in Uduasha are not like firearms in Duskwall because the way that like Uduasha is built means that friendly fire or like accidentally hitting someone that you don't want to hit is much more likely. So pistols tend to be much more close range weapons. And as a result, at the kind of range that these people are using it at, I think you're looking at like a level 1 wound, which is probably.
I think another.
Yeah, no, go on.
I think another logical consequence is that the roof ball team scatters. I don't think they're badass enough to like stick around being shot at.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think they're about to scatter. I think you're going to take the level 1 harm and you will have a moment to do something and then they're going to run. But they are loyal, so I think it's possible that what will happen is that if they run, they may try to take you with them.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing though.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get shot, like, so there's like So there's a ball. I think it's like one of those guns that you kind of just load with random bullshit and then it fires.
Sure, yeah.
Like, it's a pipe.
Yeah.
So like I get hit with like, I don't know. So I'm like bleeding, but like it's like some cosmetic wounds on my face, and it's more like getting in my eyes. That's the main problem, right? And I'm like, fuck, Morosim, fuck you. And then I, yeah, I mean, okay, so we can't win a firefight,
No.
right? I think my automatic response is to mark my bandolier of alchemicals, mark a smoke bomb, drop the smoke bomb right in my feet. No, in fact, I'm going to drop the smoke bomb I'm going to throw the smoke bomb at Morosim's face, which won't kill him, but it's not fun.
No.
And I'm also going to cause a distraction for us.
Excellent. Okay.
To escape.
Yeah, I think that's
a wreck.
I think it is a wreck. I think that you are still in a desperate position because you are still surrounded. And now that this first person has got their shot off, like it's easier for the rest of them to take that extra second to react. But this is a very cramped setting, and a smoke bomb is going to be incredibly disorienting and confusing for everybody. So I actually think that you're going to have great effect here. And by great effect, I mean not just that like you will be able to occlude what you are doing, but you will be able to make it further away than you would be otherwise.
Okay. I'm going to make it standard instead of great because I have the level 1 harm peppered with shot, and I describe myself being slightly blinded.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I think standard effect here is that everyone else gets to like really go away, but like maybe I'm still in danger.
Yeah, I think with standard effect, that's absolutely fine.
I'm going to roll. I'm going to push myself for an extra dice, or unless there's a devil's bargain. That's interesting.
Is there a devil's bargain here? 1 second. Who is your rival?
My rival is my father-in-law.
Oh, your father-in-law. Oh, I don't think that like your father-in-law is suddenly going to appear on the scene, so that doesn't make sense.
I have a possible devil's bargain. And it's just that the roof ball team like lose all respect for you. Like you're throwing a smoke bomb, and maybe they don't realize that's what's going on. So they're just like, "Oh, lucky that happened." They're not particularly smart.
Yeah.
And it could cause some inter-character conflict in the future if they think you suck.
Yeah, that's fair. Miraz, he does suck. It's fine.
Oh no, I think Miraz is.
It's actually mostly a problem for me. But
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I will take this. If Tree, you approve of it?
I think I'm fine with that. I think this also plays into the devil's bargain we said earlier with Catherine, right? Like this is
proceeding.
The theme
is evolving.
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah.
6 and 2.
6. Very good. Yeah. So I
Amazing.
think you throw the smoke bomb, and Asatantu is the kind of place where, like, sometimes fireworks will go off accidentally, right? And that appears to be, to the roof ballers, what has happened here, right? That, like, a batch of faulty fireworks has kind of gone off, probably not even where you are, somewhere below you, and the smoke has come up, right? Which is why it's so disorienting. And they take that moment. I think one of them grabs Catherine, the other one grabs Johannes. A couple of them shout, "We need to get away now." And they pick the two royals up and they leg it, right? And they know where Vickers is. So I think what they are going to do is just make straight for where they know Vickers to be, which is also a roof ball place, right? Like, so, like, they will figure that out. But they leave you in the lurch, and you are currently, like, in the middle of the smoke, coughing, like you've got this wound, and while the hive are currently unable to see you and afraid of shooting because they might hit their friend, unless you do something about it, it's going to get very bad for you, right? But I think we'll cut away from you.
Yeah,
no,
not to dwell on me, but I think I do move a little bit. I'm still like within range, but I'm not like literally standing where I was.
No, I think you get away a bit. I think you're just, you have not exited the situation completely. Yeah. You can find some cover.
Excellent.
So then I think we cut back to the roof ball arena, where Madian is now looking around her and realizing that the people whom she thought she was paying to safeguard her have been paid by the hive to ambush her. Right?
But she still has some of her people around, right?
Yes, she does. Yeah. She's got some people whom she knows personally that are loyal to her. Unfortunately, like, the general kind of, yes, this is the community and so on, those people have been paid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, then I know what I'm doing, unless someone is acting before me.
I think Marian just, like, as we see this, she just says, like, she looks at, Joan looks at Marian and she just says, "The fuck, like, getting into stuff like this, into problems like this, is your territory. So I suggest you lead."
Mm-hmm. I suggest I lead, and that's
Fair
precisely
enough.
what I'm going to do.
Very good.
So, what Vickers is going to do is that, seeing that, like, this is really quickly, as soon as she realizes that this is the trap and we've been turned on, she will shout out to Marian's professionals, who are, after all, players of the game, like, where are these thugs located? The people who are turning on us, where precisely are they?
So you are currently on a balcony overlooking this, like, shoddily constructed roof. And the thugs are about a level above you, in a couple of different directions. And these people are not wielding pistols. I think they are wielding clubs. So let us say that, like, where you are, there's, like, a couple up and to the left, and then there's a couple further away to the right.
Okay, perfect. So I have an ability to get to any point on the battlefield that I can see, which I'm activating as part of pushing myself. And so Vickers is going to leap off this balcony, grab a hold of a beam, swing up and fly up onto a rooftop to end up next to one of the thugs in a good acoustic spot. And not even engaging with him yet, just, like, surprising him with her presence, she turns and she shouts down over the arena. And she goes, "Someone's interfering with the match, it seems. Quite unsportsmanlike, but they don't know the roofs like you do. Get them!" And I aim to seize control over Marian's people and have them execute a roof ball tactic to take these idiots down.
Incredible. Okay.
Because the roof ballers are much more at home in this kind of environment than the attackers are.
All right, okay, so I think I can assist here, all right? So Abbas, as we said, was once upon a time a roof ball player and a roof ball enthusiast. So you've leapt down, right? So Abbas is still, like, higher up. He's got like an overall view of the thing. So I'm going to assist by being the coach. And not only that, okay, so I also have an ability where if I assist a teammate, I can take 2 stress instead of 1, and they get +1 effect as well as +1 die.
Great. So
I think this is the time to activate it. Like Abbas is like he's not even gonna hesitate. He instantly starts giving out like roof ball directions. Like quarterback back, make a run over there.
yes.
Very good. Okay,
Perfect.
I think in that case, you were still at desperate as a position, but where earlier you were at standard, you are now at great effect with Abbas.
Okay.
And +1 dice as well.
+1 from you and +1 from my ability because I'm still pushing myself.
Yes,
so
correct.
So command desperate great with 2 bonus dice. I don't think I can get it much better than that. So it's a 5.
5. Okay. So let's get to the good news first, which is that the roof bowlers do exactly what you need them to do, right? So the reason that the hive here don't have guns is that unlike Pasar Hantu, where the chaos is so like inculcated into the place that a few stray gunshots will not get attention immediately. Here, like they're not on their home turf, and in fact, the Skovlanders are well put together, right? So while they are even just trying to get into range of the roof bowlers see one of them almost casually parkour up, like shimmy up a half broken down wall and genuinely just elbow drop into like someone's head. And you see another one like just pick up a brick and throw it at someone, right? Like this is, as you say, just another day at work for them.
Yep.
I think 2 things go wrong. The first thing that goes wrong is that while the roof bowlers are incredibly at home in this place, some of them were still kind of like off guard, not because like they're not used to this, but because they were halfway through the drill that they were running, right? Like, so like the muscle memory of, oh shit, I need to be doing this, like gets in the way of them running quite a complicated drill. So I think some of them fall through the roof and onto the net, and it gets like there's more people on the net than it can handle, right? Like, so they're tangled up in this net and they're not going to be of any help to you at all. I think the second thing that goes wrong is that as you kind of like give these commands and see the situation develop, you realize that these roof bowlers are much better than your team. Like kind of coordination, like they shifted from we are practicing to we are in a match in like half a second. And that's not just because of your commands and Abbas's like assistance. It's because they are very good. And if you play them at any point in the future, you know for a fact that you will lose.
Okay, perfect. I will not resist any of these things. Vickers is happy to see that there are worthy opponents in Uduasha. This is the first time she's encountered worthy opponents.
Yeah.
She's just very happy about this development.
Yeah, very good.
I think.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Vickers is into sports. You don't have to always win. You just have to always do your 110%. And so now she has a motivation to do 110%.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing here is that these people are also very motivated to be very good, right? So it's kind of like the football team that goes from League 2 to the Premier League, as opposed to like a team that's been in the Premier League for the last 30 years, right? Like there is something about their undying determination that you're a bit like, oh shit, this is going to be stressful, right? Boone, I think you are now in a position to see that what Madian is doing while this is happening, seeing that like that your friends have kind of like very ably taken on this distraction, she's decided that this is not worth it. So she's going to make a break for it right now, unless you do something about it.
I think I think it's okay for her to leave, but I think I will go with her.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she is our ticket to Freya, so we kind of need her. So this is smart.
Okay.
I'll go after her, and like put a hand on her shoulder and say, "Hey, I suppose you have more friends in this place than we are seeing right now, right?"
I thought I did before half of them tried to fucking hit me over the head.
Well, let's get some more people in here then. And then she takes out a pistol and shoots it in the air.
I think that
to summon, yeah.
I think that like that genuinely just works, right? But It also pisses like Marion off something fierce because this is exactly what she didn't want. It's like all of this ruckus and
That's fair.
right. So I think like this is not really a role in that sense. This is just gonna piss her off, and it's just gonna work.
Mhm.
If you do this now, I think what will happen is that in a few minutes, Marion's group of like thugs, like not even like her group, right? Like generally the citizenry that is around here who are on guard duty at this time are immediately going to show up, right? And much like the roof bowlers, this is their bread and butter, and they are not facing an enemy that they are not used to facing. Like people armed with blackjacks aiming to do violence is something they're very used to. They, I think, will turn up like kind of momentarily, be very angry about what is happening, which I think will give you enough time, right, to take care of everything else. So, like, I think let's see what Miraz is up to, because I think Miraz is also about to get away from these people and meet you here with the roof bowlers and the royals. Miraz, I assume you have found some cover. Morosim is currently, I think, like coughing on the ground, trying to like rub at his eyes and see what the hell is going on. You hear some jeers from the hive goons, and one of them yells at you and says, "Where's your famous serpent now, eh? Like it's not so ceaseless after all. Poke your head out. I'll send you to meet your god."
I think Miraz yells back, "Yes, I'm going home where the god is, and I will be meeting it shortly. Thank you. You know, we don't have to fight. They're gone. They're just me."
If you want to try and convince them of this, you're going to start at 0 effect.
No, I think I'm just saying it.
Okay.
I don't think it works, right?
No, just confirming that we're on the same page here. I think as the smoke begins to clear,
I am like trying to inch my way away, but there's smoke and there's blood in my eyes, so I'm probably bumping into things.
yeah, and like it's like they're following you through the noise of the bumping rather than the being able to see you. One of them yells at the rest and says, "Follow the fucking royals. What is wrong with you people?" As if to be like, yeah, no, obviously, like that's the ticket, right? Like this guy is just some guy. He, I think, like stands next to Morosim, like just holds him up by his legs and says, "Go with me," and starts to make like his way towards you. And he's got like quite a big walking stick with quite a nasty point at the end, and he's just kind of like throwing whatever boxes and crates are around to get to you. And by now, the commotion is attracting some attention. Until now, like you've been in a fairly deserted like alleyway. Nobody's really like around, but now there's a smoke bomb that's gone off, and like there's been some yelling and some gunshots. So people are starting to be like, "What the hell is going on?"
Yeah, and Miraz is thinking, there's definitely quite a few like local night watchmen and so on, like janissaries and all that, sentries. There's no centralized police force, but there's people who are supposed to like keep the peace, right? Because it's a commercial area. But also, like, if he throws himself on anyone's mercy, he has no guarantee that the hive hasn't bribed them. And also, difficult questions regarding what he was doing, like what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's just going to have to deal with this thing on his own, or as discreetly as possible. I think, like, as he's heading into places that have like more residential, like people living, and this person's following, I think Miraz is going to try to find some sort of open doorway or something into a house and try to see if like there's anyone who so he's trying to look to see if there's anyone who looks like sympathetic. It's like, "Oh no, you poor man."
What
Do you look
action
for that, or study then if I have to roll?
Sure, I think study can work here. I think with study, you are better placed to find this person, but it will take you a bit longer. So I think your position is worse. I think You were
Actually,
in a...
let me
Go on.
let me rethink, because I think so. That's what he's doing, right? He's looking around. He's trying to find someone, but like there's blood in his eyes, and also he probably just doesn't look particularly trustworthy. And I think the people in Pasarhantu know to, if someone emerges out of smoke, covered in blood, trying to find, can I come into your house, sir? And there's a man with a stick chasing him.
Yeah.
Just don't get involved in that, right? So what he's going to try to look for instead is, so Uduasha is not a sparkcraft city. Well, there's some of it.
Mhm.
Uduasha is primarily a steam-powered city,
Mhm.
all from the flames of the Udu pumped up. So he is going to look for some pipes, steam pipes.
Much easier, I think,
In fact,
to do.
they're there, right? I think that
I was
makes
gonna
sense with
say,
the
like,
buildings
I mean,
everywhere.
yeah, like finding the pipes is not an issue here.
Yeah. So I'm going to stand in front of some pipes, right? And I'm going to look at this guy, and I'm going to take out my wrench. I'm going to take out my fine breaking tools.
As you
I'll
take
take
out
out a
the
wrench.
wrench, this guy looks at you and laughs and says, "What do you think you're gonna do to me with that, little man?"
And then Mira says, "Why don't you come over here and find out, huh, big boy?"
Miraz is not very good at banter, but I promise he will get better.
Yes.
Yeah, like he's got a smile, like it looks like what it would look like.
And then he just kind of like he thinks about it for a bit, and then it's like, I was big enough for your sister.
This guy's got a smile like what someone would look like if they had like shark teeth that were too big for his mouth. And when you make that crack about his sister, he like continues smiling, but then he says, "Oh, I'm gonna enjoy beating the shit out of you."
Yeah, I bet you will, you weirdo.
So what are you rolling here?
I want him to come up to
No,
me.
he's
I want him to
absolutely
come up to
making
me.
his way up to you, intent on like grabbing you by the throat and maybe like bashing your head against the wall behind you.
Yeah, I'm going to hit the spigot on the steam pipe and just unleash a gust of steam on his face.
This is a bit unorthodox, but I want to flashback assist, if I may. I want to spend the stress to assist him because I want to flashback to the days in Doskvol when we met through the noble sport, right? So we see this like young boyfriend and girlfriend, not yet married, Vickers and Miraz, in a match, and Vickers holding his hand and going, "No, don't be afraid, Miraz. Wait until you can see the whites of their eyes. Yes, very good."
Excellent, very good.
The beautiful game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. We played together.
Yes,
I
excellent.
think this is your
So wreck again.
classic desperate great. Right? You've pissed him off. Like he's not thinking about anything except like ending you, and you can finish him in one blow and do worse than finish him in one blow. On the other hand, he is thinking of nothing except ending you. So good luck.
Okay, and I don't think the harm applies
don't
here
think so.
because it's literally right there. I just smack it, right? Once again, I am asking for a devil's bargain.
Oh,
I don't need one, but in case there's one.
Give me a second. Let me think about like a different angle that we could take with Miraz.
I have an interesting idea again. I'm sorry I keep suggesting other people's devil's
Don't
bargains.
be sorry. Like I'm
but
how it is, right? That's normal.
I think this steam is used for something, and I think you accidentally switch off something extremely important in this district.
Very good.
Like,
I mean,
somewhere suddenly just loses power, and they're not going to be happy about it.
I think I was thinking of something similar, which was that not that it was someone very important, but it goes to someone's house, and they're gonna see you do it right now, and it's a regular person.
Or it's my dad, who is a couple of stories up, just leisurely wandering around, browsing in a shop, and then the power goes out.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think you can hear the commotion outside. Is like, these bloody ruffians! Uduasha is such an uncivilized city. Gangs everywhere. It would never happen.
It would never happen in Duskwall. Everybody knows this.
So I think I'll take that. My father-in-law sees me, of course.
No, I mean, like he
recognizes me.
absolutely recognizes you.
Okay. Excellent. So I'm going to smack it. And I think like this happens either way. Like even if so I probably smack it and the power goes out. Like that's canon, regardless of whether or not the steam bursts in his face or not.
Absolutely.
It did
Oh.
not work. It's a 3.
I think.
You have 2 bonus dice, though I assisted you. You
Oh
one
yes,
more.
you did. Oh, my bad. Excellent.
Yes.
Just roll wreck again, I guess, with 1 die.
And that one, yes, the
It's a
power of
6.
love.
The power of love, yes.
So please
A force from above.
describe to me what this looks like. Because
Uh-huh.
steam burns are fucking horrific. They are terrible.
You know, do you want me to describe it?
No,
What
I
it
mean,
looks
like, I want to describe Miraz. I don't want to describe like what happens to the guy. I want you to describe what Miraz looks like as this happens.
Okay, so it's right up till the whites of his eyes, right? And a little more. And then I just really smack the spigot, and I think I do it twice before. I think this guy's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
So I'm like hit. Well, I think it's kind of stupid.
Yeah,
So
indeed.
I'm smacking at it, and then it kind of just bursts open and just kind of like covers him in steam, and I'm like, "Ugh, ugh." I just kind of stand there transfixed, looking at it for a bit, and then I kind of like, probably then I turn around, and then I see my father-in-law staring at me, and I kind of just pause.
Don't turn around.
And I
You
just-
look up. Your father-in-law is looking down
Huh?
at you. As
Oh,
if-
of course he is. I'm used to that.
Indeed. Yeah, I was gonna make the same joke. Very good. Yeah.
And then I kind of look up at him, and I kind of like give him a wave, and then I run away.
Yes, that's absolutely what happens. And I think like the camera also sees Morosim see this happen, and
Then I yell, Morosim, I'm keeping my money.
yes, very good. And I think
Uh-huh.
while Catherine and the roof bowlers think that you are some kind of naive wimp, Morosim looks at you and goes, "Oh my fucking god, I cannot afford to get on the wrong side of this man." Because like his friend is currently on the ground screaming for help, and Morosim is not sure whether he should run away or help his friend, and that is where we will leave him at the moment. Right? Like he genuinely doesn't know what to be doing. Yeah, I think that it may take you a little while, but you will get to Sarhantu maybe a little after the Roof Bowl team gets
But
there.
Wonderrust.
But the situation there has actually been handled, and maybe what's happening now is that Marion is looking at Vickers and saying, what is a little incidental violence between friends? Marion looks at Vickers and says, "There's some incredible play calling there. Do you have a team?"
Yes, we're quite new in town. The Rooftop Angels. Maybe you've heard of us. I don't know.
I can't say that I have.
I heard you were shit.
I can't say that I have, but I'd be interested in a match if you are. For a wager?
Absolutely. However, we have more pressing matters at the moment, I'm afraid. But we'll make a date of it. Don't worry, I'll take it down in my calendar. Vickers says and pulls up a very neat little Filofax style calendar that totally mismatches her actions.
I think
And starts idly looking for a date, but then goes like, anyway, we rather still need to see Queen Freya. My husband should be here with the people in question at any moment. Where are they?
I think that's the moment that at least the roof bowlers arrive, right? And
Uh-huh.
they arrive
Yeah.
and they look very disheveled. Panchu is a bit like he's out of breath. Definitely needs to work on his conditioning a bit. And when he sees you, breathes like a huge sigh of relief, and like just pushes Catherine and Johannes like in your direction and says, "Okay, package delivered. Package delivered."
Miraz is lagging behind.
He'll be here in
right?
like
'Cause,
5 minutes. Like he's that sequence didn't take very long, right? Like he's just
Yeah, Abbas is like, oh, where's Miraz? He's not. Why isn't he with you?
Because oh wait, the roof bowler thinks he's a wimp. I think Panchu says, "Ma'am, you sure you married the right guy? He was useless in the fight. I think he's still stuck back there."
Hey, Miraz,
Excuse me?
what's he doing? Ah. Oh,
You-
I
You
think
left him behind?
Oh, you were shooting at us, and you told us that
None of you thought to pick him up. Oh, I shouldn't have brought that heavy bag. Oh no, this is terrible. This is dreadful. I'm sorry, she says to Marianne, and then I'm going to go find my husband. I think fuck everything else. I'm
that's very
finding
cute.
Miraz.
I mean, like, he's not far behind, so you can find him.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think I need finding.
Yes. So I will find you then, if it's okay to stay on the
Absolutely.
scene. I'll like rush up and like, darling, there you are. Is everything all right? I'm so sorry for them running away like that. They really ought to know better.
Yes,
Quite well.
I'm standing there. I have like my bandolier open.
Mhm.
Like I forgot to zip it up. I forgot to zip up my jacket to conceal it. So I've been walking around with like grenades and stuff visible. I have a spanner in my hand. I'm bleeding. I'm still clutching my handbag, and I kind of like look up at you, and I go, I saw your father."
Oh, well, lovely. We'll deal with that later. Darling, your grenades are showing. Victor says with like an embarrassed expression, and then
I
zips
zip
up
up.
your jacket for you.
I zip up. Thank you. Oh dear.
We really need to look at that injury. Are you? And then she like pauses in all her fretting, and she would just grab you and kiss you really quickly.
Yeah.
And
I think this. Yeah, we cut away because I think this goes on for a while. I think that's the
Uh-huh.
dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, we're having a moment.
I think
Yes.
Marion is royals, and Joan, I think you recognize the look in her eye as one of trying to measure the liabilities, right? Like, I think she's already kind of like, much has gone wrong. Why do I need this in my life? But as soon as she sets eyes on Johannes, I think she says, "You the ones who escaped the massacre at the palace?" And I think as she says that, both Catherine and Johannes immediately like go white because they've been reminded of something they really don't want to think about. And I think she says, "I thought you were dead. Everyone thought you were dead. How did you come across these two again, Joan?"
They kind of walked into the temple.
Walked into
They needed shelter, so we gave it to them.
the revolutionary movement's been looking for these two for more than a year, and they just walked into your temple?
Oh, I guess I don't know. I guess Abbas can answer because it says, yeah, just they came in one day, just they came in a couple of nights ago, and they told us what happened to them, and we said that we would help them. Though they weren't completely honest about who they were at the start.
I think Catherine says, I think she says this in Skovic to Joan. She says, "I'm not going back. I'm not going to be a revolutionary. You said you would help us."
Moment, there's like a flash of guilt over her face. And she nods, looks at Marion. You heard her, right? But, Catherine, we think it might be best if you at least stay in contact with our people, such as they are here in the city.
Yeah, when you say "such as they are," I think Marion immediately looks at you and says, again in Skovic, maybe not actually. I think she says this in Hadrathi precisely because you're like, "Oh no, you're not really Skovlander," whatever, right? And she says in Hadrathi, "We are Skovlanders. You are a cultist in a temple that barely exists." And then she looks at the royals and says, "You survived. I don't understand why you wouldn't. If people knew you were alive, if Freya, they would dance in the streets."
I think Abbas is gonna cut in and say that, and if people knew they were alive, do you think Akaros would rest even for 1 second trying to hunt you down over here you're safe. Keep it that way.
I think if you want to,
Build up-
convince her that you should keep her mouth shut about this, that's probably a role.
Yeah.
I think I want to come in at this point.
Absolutely.
Can I? Or are we too distant? I think we're going to come in, and then I'm going to loudly announce. I'm still waving my spanner. I think probably Vickers has to like lead me because of the blood, and say, "All right, Morosim's been seen off. I don't know. They're probably going to be hunting these two. I'm so sorry about that, but we shot them. We sure shot them." And I think I want to assist here by kind of like making it, there are other people looking for you guys. So,
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
I think that works as an assist. I think that we're actually in a pretty controlled position at the moment. There's not much that royals can do to say no. And everyone else is pretty much getting what they want. I think right now we'll have limited effect if your aim is to convince the royals that they genuinely must do this, as opposed to making it clear that they don't have a choice.
We're telling Marion to keep the news of these royals turning up, on the down low.
No, you're completely right. My brain for a second. And then I think it's like a controlled standard.
Yeah. Okay. And I think one of us is just telling them is like, look, I've been down this path, and I know what happens when you force someone into the revolution when they don't want to be, right? Like, it's not a good. When they're ready to take on the mantle, they'll do it. So I think, do you think consort will work here? Because Abbas is trying to relate to a shared experience.
I think consort does work here. I think consort actually works better than sway here because you are not trying to change their minds. You're trying to build a relationship, right? Which is something they are much more likely to respond well to. Sorry, Marion. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So controlled standard, and I've got a dice from this. See, there we go.
Yeah, very good.
Perfect.
Marion looks at Abbas and kind of nods. I think she can see in your demeanor the fact that you genuinely do know what it means to try and make someone be a revolutionary when they don't want to. And then I think she will look at Catherine and in Skovic say the same greeting that Joan said the previous day, right? Which is if Hearth. I think Catherine begrudgingly, because the last person she did this to is now handing her over to this person, but nevertheless trying to trust, replies in the traditional way, which is warm home. And I think she says, I'm not going to lead you to Freya. It's too dangerous. But hand them over to me, and I'll keep them safe. And I'm sure Freya will be delighted to meet them. And, well, if you ever want to speak to them, you know where to find me. And I think Johannes says, yeah, I'm sure you'll come looking for us, won't you? More than a little bitterness in their voice.
Yeah. I will stare down Marion, I think, and say, as long as you do reunite them with their family, I think that was the point of all this. Yes? And I think we've told them that we were reuniting them with Freya. And so I want to stare down Marion, and I don't know if this is an action, but I want to impose on her that, obviously we have an obligation to do it. Sure, you can't take them to Freya, but you can take Freya to them.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. And when you told them about Freya, they were probably like, who's Freya?
Yeah.
Cousin Freya? What? Never heard of Cousin Freya.
Yeah, probably, but it's family. This is important. So I don't know if I need to make a roll here, but I absolutely want to stare Marion down.
I don't think there is a... Okay, let's say there is a risk here. So let's say you're in a controlled position. But I think the risk here is that if you do this, it is entirely possible she's going to take this roof ball game even more seriously and maybe start to consider some underhanded stuff, right? Pay someone to make the stadium more, in her favor.
It totally makes sense because Roofball is all about street cred, and I am kind of undermining her street cred by coming out of nowhere and bossing her and her team around. So
I want to assist. The way I'm assisting is that I walk up to you and I wave the spanner kind of under Marion's nose, and I say, "Yeah, you listen to this woman, all right? You listen to her good, okay?
Mhm.
I know how to use this."
Uh-huh.
And I think I look, like if you're married to this weird shambling man with his big grenade
Yeah.
vest, blood all over his face, he must be a
Yeah,
serious
absolutely.
contender.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. So yes, I'm commanding her. Controlled standard, I guess. Okay, and I'll take a bonus dice, but not modified further. 2, 2, and a 6. Wow, a 6 from the assist from my husband. We really make a great team. No.
Like,
Yes.
I know what happens. I think what happens is
Uh-huh.
that she looks at you, dismisses you, looks at Miraz, and then sees like the flecks of blood.
You must look at me because
Indeed,
there's a
yeah.
spanner in her face now.
I think she sees like the flecks of blood in on Miraz's face that maybe she's only seeing because she's so close to you. Right? I think she realizes that the fight that like you were in was at least as serious as the fight that she was in, and you came out of it on your own. So he looks back at Vickers and thinks, okay, these people are genuinely serious and they can handle themselves. So I'm fine. I'm gonna do what they need me to do, right?
Good. My chief goal with this is to like disappoint our guests less, to like ensure them that, you're not getting to family in the way you wanted to. You're possibly not even getting to people who's actually family, but we are taking you to someone who's not a revolutionary. We are taking you to someone who, claims to be related to you, which is a different thing.
I think she looks at you and says, "We'll meet Freya. I'll set up a time. If you don't want to give them over, you can stay with you until you figure that out." And then I think she looks at Johannes and Catherine and says, "If you want some potato and leek stew, well, I have a cousin who makes it better than anyone else I've ever met."
Yeah, I suppose we look over to the two royals, and I guess it's up to them if they'd rather stay
I
with
think,
us
I'm
or with
just gonna-
Marion.
I'm just going to
Like, now
roll
they have the
here.
choice.
I'm going to roll 2d6 for basically how much they want taste of
Okay,
home.
no, I want to influence their choice. I'll say like, oh, feeding them is not a problem. We have plenty of eel.
I think
I will offer them my hospitality.
Absolutely,
I'm
yeah.
great at this.
Oh wow! Yeah, I think they're not going to go. I think they're going to stay with you. 'Cause
Okay, that's fair. My eel was not able to
I
scare them
think
off.
what it is Catherine just really likes Joan and feels safe around her and doesn't want to leave if she doesn't have to. I think she turns to Joan and says, "Do you mind if we stayed?" Like almost as if to be like, "I know you don't want us around. I just like would like it if we could hang out with you." Like very like kicked dog bad.
Joan has been like staring at Marion, and I think she continues to do so until this question kind of almost snaps her out of it. Then she like gives her as like kind of disturbed look that turns into a smile. I would like it if you stayed.
There's like clear relief on Catherine's face. Hannes is a suspicious bastard and would have been unhappy whatever he chose. So they look unhappy. And I think from behind you, Socks says, "Oh, then you can play roof ball with us." I think like
Excellent idea.
that's a nice moment
Yeah.
to end there. I think
Yeah. I have one more thing that I think is relevant to point out for Vickers and Miraz's relationship, which is of course that after Miraz stepped up and like waved his wrench in her face, Vickers will like grab his hand very tightly and say in a lower voice to him like, "Shall we go back to the temple, dear? I do believe we got interrupted."
very good.
And she obviously has never found him more attractive than
Yeah.
when he's in berserk mode.
Amazing.
I love the idea.
I think
The spanner is a metaphor.
I think as people are like, as this crowd is kind of breaking up, which I guess it's fair to say that happens now. Joan will like kind of take one moment, like staying behind, and say to Marion, "One more thing.
What is it?
You are right. I am a cultist because I now know the divine. And if you take away these people's agency and betray the trust we've shown you today, you will know what a curse is."
Oh, that's delicious. I think she is like, she knows how serious you're being. She's seen you being serious. For a second, she's like taken aback. And then that old familiar anger at you comes roaring right back up. He says to you, "I'm not afraid of you or of your God. I do not need the divinity. I'm not about to betray them, and I'm not about to betray those two either."
She just holds her gaze for a moment and then walks away.
As you walk away, like you can feel Marion's eyes on you until you like leave her eye shut, right? Like she's just looking at you, and she's seething. Like, who does this woman think she is, coming in and doubting my patriotism when she left the movement, and so on and so forth.
Well, gotta make sure she stays my right.
Absolutely, there is no doubt about that now. I do think it's entirely possible that she will both stay your rival and you will make out. Both these things can happen. And so blows out our brief candle. I named the disciples of the ceaseless temple thus, with both their false names and true. Soumithri, called Tree as the GM. Zoheb, called Klow as Miraz. Prince as Vickers. Emma as Joan. Aadiyat, called Soap as Abbas. Blades in the Dark and the original inspiration for Udo Asha by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions. Iruvian playbooks by Johnstone Metzger. Jalandhar intro music by Kevin MacLeod. Outro music in Keeravani Ragam by U. Srinivas. Follow us at Desperate Attune on Twitter or email us at desperateattune@gmail.com. Support us at ko-fi.com/desperateattune.